Lieutenant Ta Woo Kim rubbed his tired eyes and looked back at the monitor. Something was wrong. The orbital defense station's sensors had picked up objects entering Earth's atmosphere, but they made no sense. "Commander Park, you need to see this," he called. Commander Sang-Mei Park walked over to his station. Her face showed no emotion, but her quick steps gave away her worry. "What am I looking at, Lieutenant?" she asked. "These objects, ma'am." Ta Woo pointed at the red dots on his screen. "They're big, about the size of small ships, but they don't match any known flight patterns, and they're not responding to our signals." Sang-Mei leaned closer. "How many?" 12 so far, more appearing every minute." The defense station's alarm suddenly blared. Another officer shouted from across the room, "We're losing contact with satellites." Ta Woo typed quickly, trying to get a visual. The main screen finally showed a grainy image that made everyone in the room fall silent. A dark, oval-shaped craft moved slowly through the clouds. Its surface looked like flowing metal, with no visible windows or doors. "Get the general on the line," Sang-Mei ordered, "and contact every major defense center on Earth." But the communications officer shook his head. "All channels are jammed. We can't reach anyone." "That's impossible," Sang-Mei said. "Our systems have backups for the backups." Tai Wu checked his readings again. "Commander, the objects are spreading out. They're positioning themselves over major cities worldwide." The main screen changed to show a world map. Red dots appeared over Beijing, Moscow, Washington, London, and more cities. Whatever these things were, they had a plan. "Arm the defense platforms," Sang-Mei ordered. Tai Wu tried to activate the orbital weapons, but nothing happened. "The systems aren't responding, ma'am." The lights in the station flickered, then switched to emergency power. The normal hum of machines went quiet, leaving only the breathing of the nervous crew members. "We've been hit by something," the engineering officer reported. "Some kind of energy pulse. Most systems are down." Through the station's viewport, Ta Wu saw more of the strange crafts descending toward Earth. They moved with purpose but without hurry, as if nothing on the planet could stop them. "Listen to me," Sang-Mei addressed her team. "Whatever happens next, remember your training. We need to observe and gather information. If these are visitors, we need to understand their intentions." The main communications screen suddenly came to life, showing news feeds from around the world. The alien crafts had landed in open areas outside major cities. They were opening up, revealing structures that quickly assembled themselves into tall towers. "What are they doing?" someone whispered. Dr. Jin Ho Lee, the station's science officer, studied the images. "They appear to be building some kind of atmospheric processors. Look at the air patterns around them." The images showed strange distortions in the air near the towers, like heat waves, but more intense. Reports came in from military bases attempting to approach the alien structures. Tanks and aircraft simply stopped working when they got too close. Soldiers who got near reported feeling dizzy and confused before retreating. "They're not attacking," Ta Wu noted. "They're just ignoring us." "That's worse," Sang-Mei said quietly. "They don't see us as a threat, or maybe not even as intelligent beings worth communicating with." The station shook slightly as another pulse hit them. More systems went offline. "All defense stations worldwide are reporting the same thing," Jin Ho said, looking at the emergency data feed. "We're being systematically disabled, but not destroyed." Ta Wu watched as more alien ships arrived. Earth's most advanced weapons and technology meant nothing to these visitors. They had arrived without warning and without a single word of communication. The aliens had a purpose on Earth, and they were making it clear that humans were not part of their plan. "They're not invaders," Sang-Mei said, her voice hollow. "They're colonists, and we're just the local wildlife." 3 months had passed since the aliens arrived. People now called them the Vorn, after a child had pointed at one, and made a sound like Vorn before her mother pulled her away. The name stuck. Tai Gu crouched behind a fallen tree and watched the Vorn work. Their tall, thin bodies moved with machine-like precision as they dug into the earth. 6 arms worked at different tasks at the same time. Their skin changed color slightly based on what they were doing, shifting from gray to blue to green. "They're taking the rare metals," whispered Hannah, the team's geologist. "Look at what they're putting in those containers." Through his binoculars, Tawu could see the Vorn extracting something shiny from the ground. They had been doing this all over the world, taking metals, minerals, and even water from the oceans. "Time to go," Tawu said. "We've seen enough." They carefully made their way back through the forest to their hidden truck. The roads were too dangerous now, with Vorn ships regularly flying overhead, so they stuck to paths through the trees. Back at the underground base, Commander Sangmei Park was waiting for their report. The fluorescent lights made her look even more tired than she was. The base had once been a government bunker, but now it housed what remained of local military and science teams. They'd started a new mining operation, Tawu reported, about 15 miles east. Sangmei nodded and marked it on a map that already had dozens of similar marks. And the processing tower? Still growing. It's at least 50 feet taller than last week. Dr. Jin Ho Lee entered the room, carrying a tablet. The scientist had dark circles under his eyes from too many late nights studying the Vorn. "I have bad news," Jin Ho said. "The air samples confirm it. The oxygen levels are dropping near all the processing towers." The room fell silent. This was what they had feared. "How fast?" Sangmei asked. "At the current rate, the air will be unbreathable in affected areas within 8 months. Eventually, the whole planet." Tawu felt a cold knot in his stomach. They're terraforming Earth to suit themselves. Jin Ho nodded. The Vorn seem to need less oxygen and more nitrogen. They're changing our atmosphere to match what they breathe on their home world. "So they're not just taking our resources," Hannah said. "They're taking our planet." "Have they shown any reaction to our presence at all?" Sangmei asked. Tawu shook his head. "They ignore us completely unless we get too close to their equipment. Then they just push us away, like we're annoying animals." The radio on the wall crackled to life. "Base, this is Scout Team 3. We've observed something new. The Vorn have different types. We've identified at least 5 kinds, each with different jobs. They never change tasks." Jin Ho looked excited. "That confirms my theory. They have a rigid social structure: workers, builders, miners, technicians, and directors. Each type only does one kind of job." "How does that help us?" someone asked. "It means they might not be good at adapting," Jin Ho explained. "They evolved to be specialists. If they can't adapt quickly, then maybe we can use that against them." Sangmei finished. The door opened and a messenger came in. "Commander, we finally made contact with other resistance groups. There's a global command forming. They want to speak with you." For the first time in months, Tawu saw hope in Sangmei's eyes. "Good," she said. "We need to coordinate. The Vorn may not see us as a threat, but that's their mistake. We've spent our whole history adapting and surviving." She looked at the map with all the marked Vorn installations. "They think we're just background noise while they take our planet. But they'll learn. Humans don't go quietly." Tawu nodded. The Vorn had technology beyond human understanding. They were changing Earth itself. But they had overlooked one thing: the determination of the species they were trying to replace. "We need to capture one," Jin Ho suddenly said. "A live Vorn. I need to understand how they communicate." Sangmei looked at Tawu. "Can you do it?" Tawu thought of the tall alien beings with their 6 arms and emotionless faces. It seemed impossible. But then again, so did surviving on a planet being taken from them. "Yes," he said. "We'll find a way." "Stay down," Sangmei whispered. She and her team lay flat on a hill overlooking a small Vorn outpost. Unlike the massive processing towers, this was just a simple structure where a single Vorn worked alone. "That one is smaller than the others," Ta Wu said through his binoculars. Must be a scout or data collector. Sang Me checked her weapon, a net gun designed by the resistance engineers. Normal guns did nothing to the Vorn. Their skin was too tough, and they seemed to feel no pain. Remember the plan, she told her team. We trap it, sedate it, and move fast. We have 10 minutes before the other Vorn might notice it's missing. The 5 soldiers nodded. They had practiced this for weeks. Now, Sang Me ordered. They moved quickly down the hill, keeping low in the tall grass. The Vorn had its back turned, taking soil samples with its lower arms, while its upper arms operated some kind of device. 20 feet away. 10 feet. Then, Sang Me fired the net gun. The heavy mesh shot out and wrapped around the Vorn. It made no sound but began to twist its body, trying to break free. Sedate it now, she shouted. A soldier rushed forward with a large injector filled with a powerful mix of Earth's strongest sedatives. They had no idea if it would work on the alien, but they had to try. The needle went in between the mesh of the net. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Vorn's movements slowed. Its color faded from bright green to a dull gray. It's working. Get the transport ready. They loaded the sedated alien into a covered truck and drove quickly through back roads to reach the underground lab. The whole time, Sang Me kept checking her watch. Every minute felt like an hour. Dr. Jin Ho Lee couldn't hide his excitement as they brought the Vorn into his lab. The creature was secured to a strong metal table, still unconscious. We need to work fast, Sang Me reminded him. The sedative won't last long. Jin Ho nodded and began attaching sensors to the Vorn's body. I'm picking up electrical signals, but they're unlike anything I've seen in Earth creatures. And look at this. He pointed to a screen showing sound waves. It's making sounds, but at frequencies too low for human ears. Subsonic communication. That's why they never responded to our attempts to talk, Ta Wu realized. They can't hear us, and we can't hear them. Jin Ho moved a scanner over the Vorn's head. The brain structure is fascinating. Highly developed in some areas, but strangely simple in others. The Vorn began to stir. Its color started to shift back toward green. It's waking up, Sang Me warned. What else can you learn? Jin Ho worked quickly, typing notes as he studied the readings. Its brain shows patterns similar to a network node. I think they share thoughts across their whole species, like a hive mind. But each individual has limited processing power on its own. The Vorn's eyes opened, 5 small black orbs arranged in a circle on its face. It began to move its arms, testing the restraints. We need to let it go, Sang Me said, before the others come looking. Wait, Jin Ho said. He held up a device that emitted a low humming sound. The Vorn immediately turned its head toward it. It's responding to the frequency, Jin Ho said excitedly. Look at its brain activity. The screen showed sudden spikes in the creature's neural patterns. I think I understand now, Jin Ho said as they prepared to release the Vorn. They evolved as specialists with shared intelligence, great at their assigned tasks but poor at adapting to new situations. That's why they ignore us, Ta Wu said. They literally can't process us as a threat. Their brains aren't wired to see anything outside their planned mission as important. Sang Me looked thoughtful. So they're not arrogant. They're just limited. Exactly, Jin Ho said. And that might be their weakness. Their technology is incredible, but their minds are rigid. They can't adapt quickly to unexpected problems. As they loaded the Vorn back onto the truck to return it, Sang Me asked, can we use this knowledge somehow? The subsonic communication. Jin Ho smiled for the first time in months. I think we can. If they communicate with sound waves we can't hear, maybe we can find a way to disrupt those waves. Or even better, use them against the Vorn. How? Ta Wu asked. I don't know yet, Jin Ho admitted. But I know someone who might. Dr. Hyun Woo Choi was not what Tae Woo had expected. The young physicist looked more like a college student than someone who might save the world. His small lab in the underground base was filled with strange equipment and handwritten notes covering every wall. "So you found out the Vorn use subsonic communication," Hyunwoo said after Jin-ho explained their discovery. "That makes sense. Many species on their home planet probably evolved to use sounds below our hearing range. Can we use this against them?" Sang-mei asked directly. Hyunwoo picked up a tuning fork and struck it against the table. "Listen," he said. The fork made a clear, ringing sound. "Now watch." He touched the vibrating fork to another identical tuning fork. The second fork began to vibrate and make the same sound without being struck. "Sympathetic resonance," Jin-ho said, understanding immediately. "Exactly." Hyunwoo smiled. "When something receives its own frequency back, it responds strongly. But what if we change that returning frequency just a little?" He adjusted some equipment and struck the first fork again. This time, when he brought it near the second fork, they heard an unpleasant clashing sound. "Destructive interference," Hyunwoo explained. "If we can record the Vorn's communication signals and send them back with specific distortions, we might be able to confuse or even disable them." "Like an echo that comes back wrong," Ta-woo said. "Precisely." Hyunwoo nodded. "An echo that screams back." The door to the lab opened, and a woman entered carrying equipment. Her short black hair was tied back, and she wore headphones around her neck. "This is Eun-ji Kang," Hyunwoo said. "She's the best audio engineer I know." Eun-ji put down her equipment. "I've been studying the recordings you sent, Hyunwoo. The Vorn signals are complex but follow clear patterns. I think we can work with them." For the next week, Hyunwoo and Eun-ji worked day and night. They built devices that could detect the Vorn's subsonic communications, record them, alter them slightly, and play them back at the aliens. "We need to test it," Eun-ji said finally. "But we need a live subject." Sang-mei shook her head. "Too risky to capture another Vorn. We got lucky the first time. What about a small field test?" Ta-woo suggested. "There's a Vorn outpost with only 2 workers about 5 miles from here." Hyunwoo looked at his device, which he had named the Echo Projector. It was the size of a backpack, with speakers and sensitive microphones. "It should work," he said, "but we won't know for sure until we try." The next day, Ta-woo, Sang-mei, Hyunwoo, and Eun-ji approached the small Vorn outpost. The 2 alien workers were gathering plant samples, moving with their usual machine-like efficiency. "They always follow the same pattern," Ta-woo whispered. "They'll circle the entire area, then return to their ship." Hyunwoo adjusted the Echo Projector and nodded to Eun-ji. She pressed a button, and though they couldn't hear anything, they could see a small light on the device blinking as it detected the Vorn's communications. "It's recording their signals," Hyunwoo said quietly. "Now we wait until it has enough data to create the echo." After 10 minutes, the light turned green. "Ready," Eun-ji whispered. "Do it," Sang-mei ordered. Eun-ji pressed another button. Again, they heard nothing, but the effect on the Vorn was immediate. Both aliens stopped moving. Their colors shifted rapidly from green to blue to purple. One dropped its equipment. The other began walking in a circle. "It's working," Hyunwoo said excitedly. "The echo is confusing them. They can't process the conflicting signals," Jin-ho added. "Their brains aren't designed to handle contradictions in their communication network." They watched as the Vorn continued to move erratically. Finally, one of them emitted a low pulse that they could actually feel in their chests. The aliens returned to normal colors and resumed their work, but more slowly than before. "They reset somehow," Eun-ji said with disappointment. "Yes, but did you see how long they were confused?" Hyunwoo's eyes were bright with excitement. "This was just a small test. Imagine if we could do this on a larger scale." Sang-mei looked at the device, then at the aliens who had nearly returned to their normal routine. "How big can you make this echo?" she asked. Hyunwoo exchanged looks with Eun-ji. with the right equipment and positioning, maybe big enough to affect an entire Vorn base. For the first time in months, Ta Wu felt real hope. The aliens might have better technology, but humans had just found their weakness. Snow crunched under Ta Wu's boots as he moved through the Siberian forest. The cold bit at his face, but he barely noticed. His eyes were fixed on the Vorn processing plant in the valley below. It was smaller than others around the world, a good target for their first real attack. Everyone in position. Sangmi's voice came through his earpiece. Team 2 ready, he replied. Team 3 ready, Yunji reported from her location. Team 1 ready, Hyunwoo confirmed. They had been planning this operation for 3 weeks. The Global Resistance Command had given them permission to test the ICO protocol on a larger scale. If it worked, they would finally have a weapon against the Vorn. Taiwu checked the ICO projector on his back. The device was now smaller but more powerful than the prototype. Hyunwoo and Yunji had made 3 of them, positioned around the Vorn facility to create a triangle of disruption. Remember, Hyunwoo's voice came through the radio. We need to activate them at exactly the same time. The signals need to overlap properly. On my mark, Sangmi said. 3, 2, 1, now. Taiwu pressed the activation button. The echo projector hummed to life, detecting and recording the Vorn communication signals, then sending them back with calculated distortions. Through his binoculars, he watched the effect on the Vorn workers. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like dominoes falling, the aliens began to stop their tasks. Some froze in place. Others moved in strange patterns, bumping into equipment. A few dropped to the ground, their colors flashing wildly. It's working, he whispered into his radio. The confusion spread through the facility. The Vorn had no idea what was happening or how to respond. They weren't programmed to handle this kind of disruption. Second phase, Sangmi ordered. Teams of resistance fighters moved in, wearing special earplugs Unjoy had designed to block any harmful effects of the ICO projectors. They planted explosives at key points around the facility while the Vorn remained disoriented. All charges set, came the report. Pulling back now. The teams retreated to safe distances. When everyone was clear, Sangmi gave the order. Detonate. The explosions ripped through the Vorn facility. Processing towers collapsed. Equipment shattered. The few Vorn that remained active tried to respond, but couldn't coordinate their efforts while the ICO projectors continued to disrupt their communications. We did it, Yunji said, her voice filled with disbelief. We actually did it. For the first time since the invasion began, humans had successfully destroyed a Vorn installation. The victory felt almost unreal after months of helplessness. But their celebration was short-lived. Something's coming, Ta Wu warned, looking at the sky. Multiple aircraft, moving fast. Dark shapes appeared above the clouds. Vorn ships, more advanced than the ones they'd seen before. They descended toward the ruined facility with frightening speed. They're responding to the attack, Jinho said over the radio. Pack up and move out. Now. Taiwu quickly disconnected his echo projector and began to retreat. But as he watched the new Vorn ships land, he noticed something strange. The aliens that emerged were different. Their bodies more streamlined, their movements quicker. New Vorn type, he reported. They look like, I don't know, some kind of response unit. These new Vorn began to emit subsonic pulses that Taiwu could feel in his chest, even at this distance. The echo projectors, still active at the other positions, suddenly lost power. They changed their communication frequency, Hyunwoo realized. Our devices can't match it anymore. Everyone fall back to the extraction point, Sangmi ordered. We've done what we came to do. As they retreated through the forest, Taiwu's feeling of victory was mixed with worry. Yes, they had proven the ICO protocol could work. But the Vorn had adapted more quickly than they expected. Don't look so concerned, Yunji said when they regrouped at their hidden vehicles. This was just the first test. They changed their frequencies, Hyunwoo said, his mind already working on the problem. But that means they had to respond to us. For the first time, they had to acknowledge us as a threat. Sangmin nodded as she studied the data from their attack. We've made them notice us. Now we need to make them fear us. How? Tawu asked. We need something bigger, Hyunwoo said. Much bigger. Back at the main resistance base, the mood was mixed. They had destroyed a Vorn facility, but the aliens had adapted quickly. The team gathered in the strategy room, looking at a world map marked with Vorn installations. Our current echo projectors aren't powerful enough, Hyunwoo admitted. And now that they've changed their communication frequency, we need to redesign them. Yoonji nodded in agreement. Even if we make new ones, we'd need hundreds to affect all the major Vorn bases. We don't have the resources or time. The room fell silent. Their one advantage seemed to be slipping away. Tawu, who had been staring at the map, suddenly straightened up. What if we didn't need hundreds of projectors? He asked. What if we could use one big one instead? That's impossible, someone said. No single projector could be that powerful. Not a single machine, Tawu said. But what about Earth itself? He walked to the map and traced a line with his finger. Earth has a magnetic field that surrounds the entire planet. What if we could use that as an amplifier for our echo signal? Hyunwoo's eyes widened. He jumped from his chair and began writing equations on a whiteboard. That might actually work, he said, his voice rising with excitement. If we place transmitters at key points along the magnetic field lines, we could create a global pulse. Like turning the whole planet into one big echo projector, Yoonji added, catching on to the idea. Sangmin studied the map. How many transmitters would we need? Hyunwoo calculated quickly. 8, positioned at specific points around the world. But they would have to activate at exactly the same time. We can coordinate with the Global Resistance Command, Sangmin said. They have contact with groups everywhere. Jinho, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. There's another problem. The oxygen levels are dropping faster in some regions. People are already getting sick. We might not have much time left. Then we work faster, Sangmin said firmly. Hyunwoo, Yoonji, start designing the transmitters. Tawu, help me plan the deployment points. Jinho, we need you to keep studying the Vorn biology. There might be other weaknesses we can exploit. As the others left to begin their tasks, Sangmin pulled Tawu aside. I have another mission for you, she said quietly. We need to know where the Vorn command centers are. If we're going to hit them all at once, we need to hit the most important targets. Reconnaissance? Tawu asked. Yes, but deeper than before. We need to get close enough to identify which structures are giving orders to the others. Tawu nodded. It would be dangerous, but necessary. I'll put together a small team. We'll leave tonight. 3 days later, Tawu lay on his stomach on a hill, watching a large Vorn complex through a special thermal camera Jinho had designed. It showed energy patterns that normal cameras couldn't see. Look at that central building, he whispered to his team member, Ji-hoon. The energy flowing from it connects to all the other structures. Ji-hoon nodded and marked it on their map. That's the third command center we found. Matches the pattern from the others. Tawu was about to respond when he felt something, a vibration in the ground. Do you feel that? Ji-hoon's face showed concern. Earthquake. No, Tawu realized with growing alarm. Something's coming. They turned to see a Vorn transport vehicle moving silently across the landscape toward them. It wasn't following any road or path. It was coming straight for their hiding spot. They've detected us somehow, Tawu said. Move, now. They scrambled down the back of the hill as the Vorn vehicle accelerated. For the first time, the aliens were actively pursuing humans. They're learning, Tawu thought as they ran for their hidden jeep. They're starting to see us as a real threat. As they drove away, narrowly escaping the Vorn, Ta Wu's radio crackled with Sangmi's voice. All reconnaissance teams report back immediately. Hyunwoo has finished the transmitter design, and the Global Command has approved the plan. Despite the close call, Ta Wu felt a surge of hope. The Vorn might be adapting, but so were humans, and they had something the aliens lacked: creativity in the face of danger. "We're on our way back," he replied. "And Commander, tell Hyunwoo his planet-sized echo projector better work, because the Vorn are definitely paying attention to us now." The main resistance base hummed with activity. Engineers built transmitters based on Hyunwoo's designs. Soldiers trained for deployment missions. Communication officers coordinated with resistance groups around the world. In the center of it all, Ta Wu watched Jin Ho study new data from their Vorn observations. The scientist hadn't slept in 2 days, his eyes red but focused. "I found something," Jin Ho said suddenly. He pointed to a pattern on his screen. "Look at these communication signals. They're not just talking to each other on Earth." Ta Wu leaned closer. "What do you mean?" "They're receiving instructions, regular pulses of data from—" Jin Ho looked up, his face pale. "From their mothership in orbit." A chill ran through Ta Wu. "They have a central command." "Yes. The Vorn on Earth aren't making decisions. They're following orders from above." Jin Ho's fingers flew over the keyboard, bringing up more data. "That's why they're so coordinated even across the planet. They're all receiving the same instructions." Ta Wu saw the importance immediately. "If we could disrupt that signal, we could confuse all of them at once," Jin Ho finished. Ta Wu called for Sangmei, who arrived quickly with Hyunwoo and Yeonji. "Show them," Ta Wu said. Jin Ho explained his discovery. The room grew quiet as everyone understood what it meant. "Can our transmitters affect the mothership's signals?" Sangmei asked. Hyunwoo thought for a moment. "Maybe, but the effect would be stronger if we could place echo projectors closer to the source." "You mean in space?" Yeonji asked. "How would we do that?" Sangmei's face became determined. "We still have access to one small space shuttle at the old international base. It was in a shielded hangar when the Vorn arrived." "You want to send echo projectors into orbit?" Ta Wu asked. "Not just the projectors," Sangmei said. "Someone needs to place them properly near the mothership." The room fell silent again as everyone realized what she was suggesting. "I'll go," Sangmei said firmly. "I was trained as a pilot before all this happened." "You can't go alone," Ta Wu said. "I'll need a small team. 3 people at most. The shuttle can't carry more." Hyunwoo raised his hand. "I'll need to adjust the projectors in space. I should go. And I'll go to help with the technical aspects," Yeonji added. Sangmin nodded. "Good. Meanwhile, the ground teams will position the transmitters at the magnetic points around the world. When both systems are ready, we activate them simultaneously." Jin Ho looked worried. "What if it doesn't work? The Vorn might accelerate their terraforming if they see us as a serious threat." "Then we'll have tried our best," Sangmei said simply. "But I believe this will work." For the next week, preparations moved at incredible speed. The space shuttle was checked and prepared. The transmitters were finished and sent to teams around the world. Hyunwoo and Yeonji modified 3 special echo projectors for space use. The night before the mission, Ta Wu found Sangmei alone, looking at the star-filled sky. "Are you scared?" he asked. She didn't look away from the stars. "Yes, but not of dying. I'm scared of failing." "You won't fail," Ta Wu said. "None of us will." Sangmei finally turned to him. "Tomorrow, we either save Earth or we lose it completely." "The Vorn think they're superior because of their technology," Ta Wu said. "But they don't understand what humans can do when we're fighting for our home." Sangmei smiled slightly. "When I was a child, my grandmother told me an old saying. Even the smallest stone can change the course of a river. We are that stone, Ta Wu." The next morning, Ta Wu stood with the others, watching the shuttle prepare for launch. Sangmei, Hyunwoo, and Yeonji wore simple spacesuits, carrying the specialized echo projectors. Ground teams report all transmitters in position, an officer announced. They're ready for activation on your signal. Sang-mi looked at Ta-Wu one last time. Keep the signal clear. When we're in position, we'll need perfect coordination. Ta-Wu nodded. We'll be ready. Good luck up there. The shuttle's engines roared to life. As it rose into the blue morning sky, Ta-Wu couldn't help but think that the fate of humanity now rested on these few brave people and their plan to make Earth itself fight back. Sang-mi felt the shuttle shake as it left Earth's atmosphere. Through the window, she watched her blue home planet grow smaller while the vastness of space opened before them. Somewhere up here was the Vorn mothership. Activating stealth systems, she said, flipping switches on the control panel. The shuttle had been modified to absorb radar and heat signals, making it nearly invisible to detection. Hyunwoo floated in the zero gravity of the cabin, checking the 3 echo projectors they had brought. These will work differently in space, he explained. Sound doesn't travel here, but the Vorn use electromagnetic waves for their orbital communications. Our projectors will disrupt those signals instead. How close do we need to get to their ship? Yeonji asked, looking nervous but determined. Within 5 kilometers, Hyunwoo replied. We'll place the projectors in a triangle formation around the mothership. Sang-mi checked the radar. I'm picking up a large object in high orbit. That must be it. She adjusted their course, moving carefully to avoid detection. As they approached, the Vorn mothership came into view. It was enormous, at least 1 kilometer long, with a smooth oval shape that seemed to shimmer slightly, as if it wasn't fully solid. It's beautiful, Yeonji whispered, despite herself. And deadly, Sang-mi reminded her. That ship is controlling the destruction of our world. They moved closer, using Earth's shadow for additional cover. Strangely, the mothership had no visible defenses or weapons. Just like the Vorn on the ground, it seemed to operate on the assumption that nothing could threaten it. They still don't see us as a real danger, Hyunwoo said. That's our advantage. Sang-mi positioned the shuttle at the first deployment point, ready for the first projector. Hyunwoo and Yeonji prepared the device, attaching a small thruster to position it precisely. They moved to the airlock and carefully sent the projector out into space. First projector deployed, Yeonji reported as the device moved into position. They repeated the process twice more, maneuvering the shuttle to different positions around the mothership. The Vorn showed no sign of detecting them or the projectors. All 3 projectors in position, Hyunwoo confirmed. Now we wait for the ground teams to be ready. Back on Earth, Ta-Wu coordinated with resistance groups around the world. Jin-ho sat beside him, monitoring both the space team and the ground transmitters. Alaska team reports ready, an operator announced. Siberia team ready. Australia ready. One by one, all 8 ground locations confirmed they were prepared. The transmitters had been placed at points where Earth's magnetic field was strongest, places where the planet's natural energy could amplify their signal. All ground teams are in position. Ta-Wu reported to Sang-mi via their secure channel. How are things up there? All projectors deployed and ready, Sang-mi replied. We're at a safe distance now. Jin-ho checked his readings one final time. Remember, once we activate, the effect should be immediate. The Vorn will receive conflicting signals from their own mothership. Ta-Wu took a deep breath. This is it. The fate of Earth depends on what happens in the next few minutes. He opened the global channel to all teams. This is control. On my mark, all stations activate. 3, 2, 1, mark. Across the planet, the 8 transmitters powered up simultaneously. They sent carefully designed signals into Earth's magnetic field, turning the entire planet into a giant echo projector. The magnetic field carried these signals upward, where they met the space-based projectors surrounding the Vorn mothership. The effect was like nothing they had imagined. In space, Sang-mi, Hyunwoo, and Yunji watched in awe as visible waves of energy rippled through Earth's magnetic field, reaching toward them like giant, glowing fingers. When these waves reached their projectors, the devices amplified them and directed them at the mothership. The Vorn vessel shuddered. Its shimmering surface became unstable, rippling like water. Bright flashes of light appeared across its hull. "It's working," Hyamu shouted. "Earth's echo is reaching them." Down on the planet's surface, the effect was equally dramatic. In cities and wilderness alike, Vorn workers suddenly stopped moving. Their processing towers shut down. Transport ships hovering above the ground began to drift aimlessly. "All Vorn activity is ceasing," Jinho reported, his voice filled with disbelief. They're shutting down." The mothership began to rotate slowly, moving out of its stable orbit. Its perfect form was now distorted, parts of it seeming to phase in and out of visibility. Earth had found its voice, and its echo was screaming back at the invaders who had fought it defenseless.